Hey everybody, it's Byron, and we are doing something special today. We are at the Rivian headquarters in Plymouth, just outside Detroit, Michigan, and we are looking at the brand new R1T and R1S, the updated truck and SUV in the Rivian lineup. And we're going to take a look at some new models that are be coming over the next couple model years, the R2, R3, and R3X. Now, these have both been updated for 2024 and 2025. They're technically 2025 model year. We're going to start over here with the R1S, the SUV. That's what it stands for. As you can see, it looks pretty much the same. Not really a whole lot was changed styling-wise. It's really a nip and tuck kind of thing, not a comprehensive overhaul. The one thing that really stands out is they've moved the turn signal. It used to actually be this light pipe on the outside here, this LED strip. They moved it down here, so now they don't have to dim the whole headlight unit in order to use the turn signal, which is a nice little upgrade and makes the whole thing look a little cleaner, especially at night. Looking around the side here, there were a few more changes. Most importantly, they moved one of the cameras that used to be right here, kind of broke up the lines of the fender back. It's now in the mirror housing so that it doesn't stick out there anymore. These are the new Aero package wheels. They're now 22 inches. They look pretty slick. They used to be 21s. And just looking around the side of the car here, really not a whole lot has changed. It's an incremental improvement, if you want to look at it that way. Got new door handles here. You can see the little dimple here in case you don't want to have the walk-up access where this pops up just when you approach the car. You just touch it right there to unlock. Nice little things like that. And looking around the back, there's a couple more changes inside too, which we'll take a look at later. Also, some big changes under the metal. Like the biggest changes we're actually seeing in the 2025 Rivian lineup are powertrain related. And we'll get into that when we talk about the new Quad Max with 1,025 horsepower. 4 motors, 4 of them. All right, folks, now we're looking at the 2025 Rivian R1T, T for truck, not SUV. So in this one, we have a truck bed, which changes a little bit of the back, but really what you're looking at here is the identical changes we saw in the SUV applied to the truck. Get the turn signal moved down just like we did on the SUV model. Looking over here, no camera, same smooth lines. We don't have the Aero wheels on this one. This has the nice kind of multi-spoke wheel look. This is a Quad Max. This thing has 1,025 horsepower. Yeah, 1,025. Has 4 motors, hence the quad, and a very fancy active all-wheel drive system, if you want to look at it that way. When you have independent electric motors, it behaves a little bit differently, so they're all kind of acting like all-wheel drive systems in and of themselves. So you get all that tech because, hey, it's electric, why not? And looking around the back here, the big defining feature of the R1T, obviously, truck bed. So with this, you get the big expansive bed in the back instead of a passenger compartment. But otherwise, the same updates that you saw in the R1S apply to the R1T. All right, so one more update for the 2025 Rivian R1s that we want to look at is the lighting signature. Now, there's always been some fancy stuff going on here with the first gen that's been updated for the new models. As you can see, it stays dormant while it's sitting here, but as you approach, it will let you know that it can actually tell you're close. The lights will come on as you unlock, and boom, fully illuminated. And then when you lock, you get the same thing in reverse. All right, coming to you from the inside, the 2025 Rivian R1S, again, the SUV. And looking around here, again, not a whole lot has changed. Most of the new stuff is happening inside here. So the tech got an update for 2025, and this interior has also been kind of warmed over a bit, if you will. We've got the wood trim and the plaid look to this one, which looks very classy. This is a top spec truck, so don't expect the base models to look like this. But when you buy one spec'd out, it's pretty slick. All right, you see an SUV, you expect it to have tons of cargo capacity. Well, there you have it. Plenty in here, even with the high load floor. Again, considering how much battery and how many motors they have packed into this thing, it's not surprising at all that it's slightly constricted, but still, I mean, tons of room. This particular model has an upgraded audio system, but if you don't get that, the woofer here on the side is actually replaced by a little cubby. So you actually get some useful cargo space if you don't spring for the premium audio. Okay, so those are the 2025 Rivian R1S and R1T. Those are the production trucks that you can go out and buy today. But the most exciting things coming from Rivian are the ones you can't buy yet. These are due in 2026. This is the Rivian R3X. This is their new smallest crossover. There's going to be an R2 down from the R1, and then the R3. So descending order of size, if you will. All right, this thing looks fun. I mean, look at it. This is basically a little hot hatchback. This is not actually a crossover. It's shorter than I am, and I'm not very tall. So there you have it. This is about the size of a GTI. It's going to do 0 to 60 in 3 seconds, Rivian says. Now, we don't have horsepower figures. We don't have range figures. They're aiming for 300 on the top end model. And that 0 to 60 time, again, is the top end. So we'll expect that this will actually come with like a front wheel or rear wheel drive, a 2-wheel drive configuration that slots in beneath it that'll be a little bit more accessible. But for fun and for the neat features, this is the one you want to look at. There's some crazy stuff going on with the hatch, all sorts of stuff we can look at. We can't get inside this one yet, but soon we'll get a chance. And there's a lot going on here, I promise you. All right, so if the R3X is a little too over the top for you, but you still want the style of like a fastback kind of hatchback looking thing, the regular R3 is your ticket. With this one, you get a more subdued, kind of more mature look. And as you can see here, the nice subdued finish. This is chill, this is everyday, it's a little more working man. But if you look at it, you get the same styling you get with the R3X. You get the really aggressive rake on the rear glass here, unlike the R1 and R2 that have the very vertical rear glass. You'll be able to tell these things apart in the wild, no problem. So R3, R3X, the most enthusiast-oriented models that are coming out of this. Now let's take a look at the R2. All right, and now we're looking at the Rivian R2. Now this one is essentially the Rivian R1 SUV's mini-me. It's the same basic proportions, a very boxy SUV shape, kind of squared off, not the aggressive fastback look you get on the R3. So this one is going to be your, say, your Ford Escape to your Bronco Sport. This one is the boxy everyday car that you want to buy because it's practical and still electric. And again, looking at the top range of around 300 miles, they have not actually promised us any power or exact range figures yet. These are not going to go on sale until 2026, although you can reserve one now if you'd like. So this is one to keep an eye on. This is going to be the next one to slot in below the R1. This is going to be one of their big volume models. All right, folks, this is our first look inside the new Rivian R2. This is the smaller SUV that's going to slot beneath the R1S. And looking around here, this is what we assume is a fairly loaded up model. The materials are similar to what we see in the R1, but the quality here is not quite as high. So this is going to be a less expensive model, obviously, geared toward volume, aimed at the mainstream, where the R1 is essentially their flagship SUV. So we don't really expect to see the same level of quality inside. But the same kind of detailing is present here. They're going for the same kind of look. It's very, futuristic, looking a bit like some of our favorite Swedish brands, perhaps. So a very nice looking car in here, and we're expecting this one to come on sale in 2026, although you can reserve one today. So looking at the new baby Rivian R2 SUV. All right, folks, so here we have it. The 2025 Rivians, the new 2025 Rivian R1S, the 2025 Rivian R1T. Again, this is a quad with 1,025 horsepower. Then we have the forthcoming 2026 Rivian R2 slotting beneath the R1S. Less power, less expensive, a little more practical. Then the R3 takes the R2, cuts it down even shorter, 5 inches less wheelbase on this car. More practical still, and again, smaller. And then the R3X, where you saw it off and give it more power and looks like this. This thing is going to be nuts.